Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be discussing stage to stage from the production to the hatchery, moving your fertile eggs to the hatchery. So let's start with the production. Now in the production is where we get these fertile eggs. Once it's gotten, the first thing we do is to clean the egg. People have different processes whereby they clean the egg. How they clean the egg is entirely their own style, but their best method whereby you could use to clean the egg. So after cleaning this egg, you now move the egg from that production to the hatchery. So how do we clean this egg before we move it to the hatchery? Now these are how we clean eggs. Some people soak their eggs inside the water and then clean it. Well, for me it's not okay, because somehow if you look at the shape of the egg, there is this tiny holes inside those eggs. So by the time you soak it to the water and you now bring it out, some of those water molecules will find a way to penetrate inside the egg, whereby altering the egg. So it's not okay by me. So there are best way to clean. Some use hard melter to clean the eggs that are stained with blood, because not all eggs that comes and they are neat. Some of them have been stained with blood, the blood of the mother. Some of the eggs have been stained with waste, poo, waste product, pipe product, whatever you call it. Some call it shit, but those things stick to the egg, so you have to clean it. So it's not always good to use hard melter, like I was saying, because sometimes you end up scrubbing, scratching, or creating a crack in the egg, whereby you lose what we refer to as banger inside the incubator. So for that reason, hard melters are not used to scrape. It's not advisable to use it. So we use something like cloths. Instead of food, we use something like cloths, whereby we have to squeeze the water out of it and then we use it to mop the egg clean. It doesn't have to be too moisture, just a small quantity of water, and then you clean that surface. That's that for that. And the water you're going to use to clean this egg has to be disinfectant. So you have some little amount of disinfectant to it and then use it to clean it. So once that is done, you move the egg to the hatchery. Getting to the hatchery, now the hatchery receives this egg, then they arrange it in their own crates, because they have their own personal crates they use, which is being set. So they move it into their own crate and then they take it into the cool room. Once it gets to the cool room, it stays in the cool room depending on the hatchery, because some hatchery might keep the eggs for 3 days, some hatchery might keep it for 4 days, some might keep it for 7 days. So it depends on the hatchery process. So this hatchery collects these eggs and they keep it, but before they take these eggs to the cold room, they would have disinfected it again. After disinfecting it, just to ensure that there is no microorganisms on those eggs. That's one of the ways they take care of eggs. So they take it there and then they keep it in the cold room, and then when it's time for them to bring the egg out from the cold room, they bring the egg out and then they keep it somewhere where there is enough ventilation for it to help reduce the temperature, because as while it was in the cold room, the temperature inside the cold room has made the egg to be cold. And the process and the reason why is that is so that to stop growth, germination. I mean, let me use the word growth, whereby the eggs start forming chicks, because temperature, a particular amount of temperature, the eggs will start forming, start trying to create or turn to chicken. But it's a gradual process. You keep growing until 21 days, then it turns, you have your chick coming out. So the formation of those chicks have already started from the day the mother laid them. The moment if as long as there is sperm inside that eggs, as long as that egg is being fertilized, as long as that egg is fertile, germination already have started growing. So for them to pause that germination at a particular time, they have to put it in the cold room. Now I hope you understand the reason why eggs is taken to the cold room. So they take it to the cold room just to pause the germination or the growth of those eggs, or the growth of the chicks, whichever way you feel you understand better. So once they bring it out, they keep it outside for some, maybe 1 hour, maybe 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, just to ensure that the egg has gotten to a room temperature. So once it's there, they now move the eggs into the incubator. Now, if it's a big incubator, we have two types of incubator. We have the one they call the setter, and then we have the one they call the hatcher. Now, if you're using a small incubator, so if you're using a small incubator, what we do actually is you just set it, then you'll be turning it, with your own hand. But if you're using a big incubator, those ones have a way. They have this is something you just set and then it starts working on its own. So it should be rotating on its own. So for the setter now, which is also the first incubator, you put the egg. So you keep it there for 18 days. Now when you put the egg inside that 18 days, the temperature is being set. Now the temperature, if it is a layer egg, is something of 99.5 to 100. If it's a boiler egg, it's still within that 99.5 to 100. And then don't forget that the temperature I'm mentioning is in Fahrenheit, not centigrade. So once it's been set in this Fahrenheit temperature, 99.9 to 100, then once it's 18 days, you bring the egg out. You now do what they call candling. But please, let me call your attention to this. Let's not take the concept that once you set this thing, that's how it is. You need to monitor the temperature because uh, heat on its own, while the egg formation is undergoing process, the thing also creates heat for itself. It accumulates more. So you need to ensure you're checking it so that if the heat should rise more than that, once the heat rise more than 100 Fahrenheit, you need to work on it. Ensure that you have a way you cool this temperature, or else you're going to cook the egg, or you're going to have what we have called dead in shell, and this thing occur when the temperature is much. Okay, and for now, before I go deep, let's talk about the disadvantage, because there is a disadvantage in this thing. Now, if the temperature is high, what happens? The chicks dies in the egg. If the temperature is low, what happens is the egg does not hatch on 21 days. It delays, it takes more time because there is a breach within the gap unless the temperature is stable. So if at all you're going to give, let's say there was no light, there was obstruction of light, don't forget it's going to affect the time. So it should be a very small gap. But when the gap is something like 3, 4, 5 hours, one full day, then don't expect the egg to hatch on the 21 days because there been a breach in between. So please take note of that. Then we'll now talk about the humidity. Now the humidity inside the incubator there has its own. So please, so take note, the humidity should be there. The humidity is something of 84.5 to 85 for the humidity for layers, while for boiler eggs is something of 86 to 87. That's for the humidity. So why we set this thing, once it's 21 days, I mean once it's 19 days, within 18 to 19 days, you check your egg for candling. You bring the egg out, you check it. Then I'm going to send you a video, or as you can see in the video, you see what candling is, whereby you bring the egg, then you check it. Once you check it, you see the egg. So this is the video of the candling. Now, those eggs that you're seeing, the one pointed at now, those ones are infertile eggs. Anyone you see that is dark are fertile eggs. Anyone you see that the light can penetrate, those ones are infertile eggs. So those dark eggs that you are seeing, those ones are fertile eggs. And some of those eggs that you're seeing presently there have shown great sign. Some of those the bird that start peeping on the eggshell that they want to hatch, they want to come out of it. So I want you to take a very good look and then you watch it closely. I want you to understand again that this particular day is called day 18. This is the 18 of this eggs inside the setter. So after that day 18, they brought it out and then they are being put into candling. Yeah, so you're seeing what the candle looks like. So the candle, you set the eggs. Now those eggs you see that has this black tick, is thick. The egg is thick, black. Those ones have chick. Those are the ones you continue to use. Those ones that you see that is light, more like maybe red, but not dark. Then those ones there, light can pass through it. So those ones are bad eggs. You remove those ones. After the candling, the next place you take it to is called the hasher. Now in the hasher there, it stays for 2 days or 3. depending. Now, at the hasher, that's where your chicks are being hatched. Now, the purpose why it's taken to the hasher is simply because when they are in the setter rotates. But in the hasher there, it does not rotate. You set those eggs in a shell. There's a way you set the eggs. You don't just put the eggs anyhow. There's a setting for those eggs. So you put them in the hasher, and then in the hasher, then you after 2 days, 3 days, their chicks comes out, and then boom, it's good to go. Here is the hasher. You can see the way they are setting the eggs. The eggs are set already in those baskets. Then they will now arrange it as you can see. It's been arranged, well packaged. And then the next thing they will now do now, they will now close it. Then next 3 days, because remember I told you it's the 18 days they did the candling. So after the candling, then the next 3 days, which will make it total of 21 days, they will open this thing, the hasher, and then you see the chicks. Already some chicks already have started showing sign that they want to come out. So once this thing is done, the remaining eggs that have not hatched will also hatch. Now the infertile eggs are already removed. Thank you. Don't forget that the temperature for your hasher there is just one less than the former Fahrenheit. So if the normal Fahrenheit was 100, then the next one has to be something of 99. But then you need to observe, like I said, temperature builds with time. So you make sure that the temperature you're using does not exceed. This is the hashing. Just look how the chicks are. They are so beautiful, lovely, strong. Now, with this said, the next thing we now look in at what are the problems that we might actually come out with. There are some chicks when they comes out, they look like they are deformed. Either their beak is bent, their eyes is swollen. They call those particular chicks reject. What actually causes rejects? Now I mentioned about temperature variation during when they are in the hatchery. Now this is one of the things that causes rejects, makes the birds look bad because the temperature there are not uniform. Maybe the temperature went high or the temperature went low, you have these rejects there, and some eggs will not even form if the temperature was low. So those are one of the things that cause. Sometimes the problem also comes from the pen where those eggs came out from. That's from their parents. So sometimes the parents might be sick. Sometimes the injection they give to those parents, the drugs they give to those parents might also affect those chicks. If the drugs there are so high, they affect. Just a simple way of explaining these things is like using a parent that is pregnant and using human beings, for instance, that is pregnant. There are some drugs you don't give to them. If we are using a cow that is pregnant, or a cow that is nursing their baby, there are some drugs you don't give to that particular mother cow because of those babies that they are going to give milk to. So there are some drugs that you give to chicks, it affects the chick. I mean, there are some drugs that you give to the parents' stock, it affects the chicks that they lay, the chicks that comes out from that particular parent. So those drugs are too hard, so it causes some deforms. Apart from that, there are other things, the food they eat, all this thing causes some defects on those chicks. Whereby you see them, they look runts. So those are the things you should understand. So they place a lot of things. So there's some technical things that is also attached. So uh, having an hatchery, taking the eggs to a hatchery, having a fertile eggs, all these things requires you having somebody that is an expert to it, or somebody that can look into it to ensure that everything runs out very well. I believe you have some understanding about it. So if there's any question, I'd like you to please put it on the comments down below there, so we could always answer your questions. And please don't forget to put a like button to encourage us so that we could help to put more of the videos. And if you have some other things in area of poultry you would like us to discuss about, please you can also put it down, then I'll just pick the topic and then I'll discuss it to you. And don't forget to subscribe. It is very important so that when we upload a new picture or a new video, you'll be among the first to know about it. Peace.